going on, everybody? Jake Peffer here. Welcome back to Jake's Cinema Room. Today I'm going to be continuing on my segment Underrated and Overlooked, where I take a look at movies that I feel are either very underrated or have been overlooked over the time that the movie's been released. Today I'm talking about a big cult classic, Killer Klowns From Outer Space. This movie came out back in 1988 and is directed by Steven Chiodo of the Chiodo brothers, who were big players in this movie. They did all the puppetry and costuming and everything for the clowns and everything, and they've gone on to do some other work in pretty big movies over the years, but this is definitely their baby for sure. Now, if you're not familiar with Killer Klowns From Outer Space, the title basically lets you know everything you need to know about it. Some clowns come from outer space and they want to kill people. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. There is a little bit more to it than just that, but that's the overall gist of it. It's a very cheesy 80s movie, but it's right up my alley. And if you like really cheesy, on the borderline of horror movies, I would almost put in like the horror comedy genre, because it's not really all that scary, although there are a few moments here and there where the movie definitely has some like frightening imagery for the most part, and the way the clowns in the movie actually look is pretty terrifying, to say the least. But I would never call this like a very scary movie. It's actually a pretty decent introduction into horror. So if you have, I wouldn't say like young kids, but kids maybe around 8-10 years old, this might be up their alley. If they're looking to kind of get into more spooky, scary stuff, this might be a way to kind of get them into that, unless they just have a big fear of clowns. Then I would definitely not recommend it. But like I said, essentially you have this movie, you have three characters you follow: Mike, Debbie, and Dave. They all live in a small town, and their town gets infiltrated by clowns from outer space. They see a shooting star, and it ends up turning into a circus tent that is a UFO, where these killer clowns come down and start wreaking havoc over the town. It's very silly, it's very campy, but all in all, it's a very fun time. It's a very fun watch. If you're not into, real cheesy stuff, this might not be up your alley. But for me, ever since I saw it, I probably saw this about 5 or 6 years ago for the first time, and ever since, it's pretty much a yearly tradition that I watch this movie. I just recently picked up the 4K Steelbook, which I do recommend you definitely get if you are looking to upgrade, possibly, because that 4K is a huge upgrade over the regular Blu-ray. You have a 5.1 audio track. The 4K itself just looks so much sharper, so much cleaner. So if you're a fan of the movie, or if you just like collecting and stuff, definitely recommend checking that one out, because it is a good pickup for sure. But back into the movie. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. This is one that over the years has garnered a very big cult following. And you might ask, why I would do it on this segment if it's got a big cult following. Even though it's got a big cult following, it's still, I would say, is very underrated. This is a movie that, when it gets brought up, some people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of it, or, oh, that, cheesy movie from the 80s, but they may not necessarily have seen it. This is me putting it forefront, letting you guys know, if you have not seen this movie, you definitely need to check it out, because like I said, it is a very fun movie. Everything in here works to a degree. Obviously there's some cheesiness and whatnot, like I've mentioned. The acting is not the best overall. The budget was clearly very low. I think they ran into some budgetary issues throughout the shoot, so that kind of downplayed some of the bigger things and the bigger ideas that they had. But overall, I think with the limited things that they have offered to them for this movie, I think they still do a pretty good job. All the costuming and everything is really solid. The score here is a bit very, very much 80s, but it actually works for what the movie is. It's very synth oriented. So it's like, pulling out a Casio keyboard, hitting the synth button and rocking out. And that's basically the score. But honestly, it works for the clowns and just the overall cheesiness of the movie. And yeah, it's just fun. Like I said, this movie has so many moments throughout it that are pretty iconic. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen at least a few different scenes overall. that show up in a lot of different compilations and just throughout the years. I'm sure they've probably popped up in different media and whatnot. But yeah, this is one, like I said, it's so much fun. I really can't get past that enough. It's one that if it has flown under the radar for you, you definitely need to look for it. I think it's on streaming on some places. So if you're not a big, physical media person, or you've, ditched that over the years, it's definitely available. It's not one of these underseen movies that you just can't find anymore. So it's definitely out there for you to seek out, but it gets a full recommendation from me. It's one of these movies that, like I said, it gets brought up a lot, but I feel like not enough. I feel like people still put this one pretty low when it comes to just the fact, just it getting mentioned, period. I feel like there's just not enough of it. It's a really good time. It's a perfect movie Friday, Saturday night if you've got friends over, or, you're with your significant other and you just want a fun movie to watch. Killer Klowns from Outer Space, I'm telling you. I mean, it's got plenty of stuff for everybody. The only thing I would say is the acting. The acting is super, super cheesy, but it works for a really cheesy 80s movie. But this is a cool sci-fi horror movie with definitely a lot of comedy thrown into it as well. The Kyoto brothers do a great job here. I know there's been talk of them trying to do a sequel or maybe like a streaming series to follow up from this movie, and I would love to see that. There's also a video game that I know is on the horizon, so it's definitely getting put out there more in the media, which I love to see. So with it getting put out there more, if you haven't had the chance to see this movie, definitely seek it out, definitely check it out, and you're going to have yourself a fun time. That's about it for me, guys. If you have had the chance to see Killer Klowns from Outer Space, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'll leave all my links where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I will catch you all later.